dazzling the moon. These to the bower direct, in search of whom they sought. Him there they found, squat like a toad, close at the ear of Eve, essaying by his devilish art to reach the organs of her fancy, and with them forge illusions as he list, phantasms and dreams. Or if, inspiring venom, he might taint th' animal spirits that from pure blood arise, like gentle breaths from rivers pure, thence raise at least distempered, discontented thoughts, vain hopes, vain aims, inordinate desires, blown up with high conceits engendering pride. Him thus intent, ethereal with his spear touched lightly, for no falsehood can endure touch of celestial temper, but returns of force to its own likeness. Up he starts, discovered and surprised, as when a spark lights on a heap of nitrous powder, laid fit for the tons some magazine to store against a rumoured war. The smutty grain with sudden blaze diffused inflames the air. So started up in his own shape the fiend. Back stepped those two fair angels, half amazed so sudden to behold the grisly king. Yet thus, unmoved with fear, accost him soon. Which of those rebel spirits adjudged to hell comest thou, escaped thy prison, and transformed? Why sat'st thou like an enemy in wait, here watching at the head of these that sleep? Know ye not, then said Satan, filled with scorn, know ye not me? Ye knew me once no mate for you, there sitting where ye durst not soar. Not to know me argues yourselves unknown, the lowest of your throng. Or if ye know, why ask ye, and superfluous begin your message, like to end as much in vain? To whom thus Zephon, answering scorn with scorn: Think not, revolted spirit, thy shape the same, or undiminished brightness, to be known as when thou stoodst in heaven upright and pure. That glory then, when thou no more wast good, departed from thee, and thou resemblest now thy sin and place of doom obscure and foul. But come, for thou, be sure, shalt give account to him who sent us, whose charge is to keep this place inviolable, and these from harm. So spake the cherub, and his grave rebuke, severe in youthful beauty, added grace invincible. Abashed the devil stood, and felt how awful goodness is, and saw virtue in her shape how lovely, saw and pined his loss, but chiefly to find here observed his lustre visibly impaired, yet seemed undaunted. If I must contend, said he, best with the best, the sender not the sent, or all at once, more glory will be won, or less be lost. Thy fear, said Zephon bold, will say this trial what the least can do, single against thee wicked, and thence weak. The fiend replied not, overcome with rage, but like a proud steed reined, went haughty on, chomping his iron curb. To strive or fly he held it vain, or from above had quelled his heart, not else dismayed. Now drew they nigh the western point, where those half-rounding guards just met, and closing stood in squadron joined, awaiting next command. To whom their chief Gabriel from the front thus called aloud: O friends, I hear the tread of nimble feet hasting this way, and now by glimpse discern Ithuriel and Zephon through the shade, and with them comes a third of regal port, but faded splendour wan, who by his gait and fierce demeanour seems the prince of hell, not likely to part hence without contest. Stand firm, for in his look defiance lowers. He scarce had ended, when those two approached, and brief related whom they brought, where found, how busied, in what form and posture couched. To whom, with stern regard, thus Gabriel spake: Why hast thou, Satan, broke the bounds prescribed to thy transgressions, and disturbed the charge of others, who approve not to transgress by thy example, but have power and right to question thy bold entrance on this place? Employed, it seems, to violate sleep, and those whose dwelling God hath planted here in bliss. To whom thus Satan, with contemptuous brow, Gabriel, thou hadst in heaven the steam of wise, and such I held thee, but this question asked puts me in doubt. Lives there who loves his pain, who would not, finding way, break loose from hell, though thither doomed? Thou wouldst thyself, no doubt, and boldly venture to whatever place farthest from pain, where thou mightst hope to change torment with ease, and soonest recompense dole with delight, which in this place I sought. To thee no reason, who know'st only good, but evil has not tried. And wilt object his will who bound us? Let him surer bar his iron gates, if he intends our stay in that black durance. Thus much what was asked. The rest is true, they found me where they say, but that implies not violence nor harm. Thus he in scorn. The warlike angel moved, disdainfully half smiling, thus replied, O loss of one in heaven to judge of wise, since Satan fell, whom folly overthrew, and now returns him from his prison scape, gravely in doubt whether to hold them wise or not, who ask what boldness brought him hither, unlicensed from his bounds in hell prescribed. So wise he judges it to fly from pain, however, and escape this punishment. So judge thou still, presumptuous, till the wrath, which thou incurrest by flying, meet thy flight sevenfold, and scourge that wisdom back to hell, which taught thee yet no better, that no pain can equal anger infinite provoked. But wherefore thou alone? Wherefore with thee came not all hell broke loose? Is pain to them less pain, less to be fled, or thou then they less hardy to endure? Courageous chief, the first in flight from pain, hadst thou alleged to thy deserted host this cause of flight, thou surely hadst not come sole fugitive. To which the fiend thus answered, frowning stern, Not that I less endure, or shrink from pain, insulting angel, well thou knowest I stand thy fiercest, when in battle to thy aid the blasting volleyed thunder made all speed, and seconded thy else not dreaded spear. But still thy words at random, as before, argue thy inexperience what behooves from hard assays and ill successes past, a faithful leader, not to hazard all through ways of danger by himself untried. I therefore, I alone first undertook to wing the desolate abyss, and spy this new created world, whereof in hell fame is not silent, here in hope to find better abode, and my afflicted powers to settle here on earth, or in mid-air, though for possession put to try once more what thou and thy gay legions dare against, whose easier business were to serve their Lord high up in heaven, with songs to hymn his throne, and practise distances to cringe, not fight. To whom the warrior angel soon replied, To say, and straight unsay, pretending first wise to fly pain, professing next to spy, argues no leader, but a liar. Satan, and couldst thou faithful add? O name, O sacred name of faithfulness profaned, faithful to whom? To thy rebellious crew? Army of fiends, fit body to fit head. Was this your discipline and faith engaged, your military obedience, to dissolve allegiance to that acknowledged power supreme? And thou, sly hypocrite, who now wouldst seem patron of liberty, who more than thou once fawned and cringed, and servilely adored heaven's awful monarch? Wherefore but in hope to dispossess him, and thyself to reign? But mark what I rede thee now, avaunt, fly thither whence thou fledst, if from this hour within these hallowed limits thou appear, back to the infernal pit I drag thee chained, and seal thee so, as henceforth not to scorn the facile gates of hell too slightly barred. So threatened he, but Satan to no threats gave heed, but waxing more enraged replied, Then when I am thy captive talk of chains, proud limitary cherub, but ere then far heavier load thyself expect to feel from my prevailing arm, though heaven's king ride on thy wings, and thou with thy compeers used to the yoke, draws his triumphant wheels in progress through the road of heaven's star-pave. While thus he spake, th' angelic squadron bright turned fiery red, sharpening the mooned horns their flanks, and began to hem him round with ported spears, as thick as when a field of ceres ripe for harvest, waving bends her bearded grove of ears, which way the wind sways them. The careful ploughman doubting stands, lest on the threshing floor his hopeful sheaves prove chaff. On th' other side, Satan, alarmed, collecting all his might, delated stood, like Tenerife or Atlas unremoved. His stature reached the sky, and on his crest sat horror plumed, nor wanted in his grasp what seemed both spear and shield. Now dreadful deeds might have ensued, nor only paradise in this commotion, but the starry cope of heaven perhaps, or all the elements had at least gone to wrack, disturbed and torn with the violence of this conflict. Had not soon th' Eternal, to prevent such horrid fray, hung forth in heaven his golden scales, yet seen betwixt Astrea and the Scorpion sign, wherein all things created first he weighed, the pendulous round earth with balanced air in counterpoise now ponders all events, battles and realms. In these he put two weights, the sequel each of parting and of fight. The latter quick up flew and kicked the beam, which Gabriel spying, thus bespake the fiend. Satan, I know thy strength, and thou knowest mine, neither our own but given. What folly then to boast what arms can do, since thine no more than heaven permits, nor mine, though doubled now, to trample thee as mire. For proof look up, and read thy lot in yon celestial sign, where thou art weighed, and shown how light, how weak, if thou resist. The fiend looked up, and knew his mounted scale aloft, nor more, but fled murmuring, and with him fled the shades of night. The end of the second part of the fourth book.
This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Clayton Smith. Paradise Lost by John Milton. Book 5, Part 1. Now morn her rosy steps the eastern clime advancing, sowed the earth with orient pearl. When Adam waked, so customed, for his sleep was airy light, from pure digestion bred and temperate vapors bland, which the only sound of leaves and fuming rills, Aurora's fan lightly dispersed, and the shrill matin song of birds on every bough. So much the more his wonder was to find unwakened Eve with tresses discomposed and glowing cheek, as through unquiet rest. He on his side leaning half raised, with looks of cordial love hung over her enamored, and beheld beauty, which whether waking or asleep shot forth peculiar graces. Then with voice mild as when Zephyrus on Flora breathes, her hand soft touching, whispered thus: Awake, my fairest, my espoused, my latest found, heaven's last best gift, my ever new delight. Awake, the morning shines, and the fresh field calls us. We lose the prime to mark how spring our tinted plants, how blows the citron grove, what drops the myrrh and what the balmy reed, how nature paints her colors, how the bee sits on the bloom extracting liquid sweet. Such whispering waked her, but with startled eye on Adam, whom embracing, thus she spake: Soul in whom my thoughts find all repose, my glory, my perfection, glad I see thy face and morn return, for I this night, such night till this I never passed, have dreamed if dreamed, not as I oft am wont of thee, works of day past, or morrow's next design, but of offence and trouble, which my mind knew never till this irksome night. Methought close at mine ear one called me forth to walk with gentle voice. I thought it thine. It said, Why sleep'st thou, Eve? Now is the pleasant time, the cool, the silent, save where silence yields to the night-warbling bird, that now awake tunes sweetest his love-laboured song. Now reigns full-orbed the moon, and with more pleasing light shadowy sets off the face of things. In vain if none regard. Heaven wakes with all his eyes, whom to behold but thee, nature's desire, in whose sight all things joy, with ravishment attracted by thy beauty still to gaze. I rose as at thy call, but found thee not. To find thee I directed then my walk, and on me thought alone I passed through ways that brought me on a sudden to the tree of interdicted knowledge. Fair it seemed, much fairer to my fancy than by day, and as I wondering looked, beside it stood one shaped and winged like one of those from heaven by us oft seen. His dewy locks distilled ambrosia. On that tree he also gazed, and "O fair plant," said he, "with fruits surcharged, deigns none to ease thy load and taste thy sweet, nor god nor man? Is knowledge so despised? Or envy, or what reserve forbids to taste, forbid who will, none shall from me withhold longer thy offered good. Why else set here?" Thus said he paused not, but with venturous arm he plucked, he tasted. Me damp horror chilled at such bold words, vouched with a deed so bold, but he thus overjoyed. "O fruit divine, sweet of thyself, but much more sweet, thus cropped, forbidden here, it seems as only fit for gods, yet able to make gods of men. And why not gods of men, since good, the more communicated, more abundant grows, the author not impaired, but honored more? Here, happy creature, fair angelic Eve, partake thou also. Happy though thou art, happier thou mayst be, worthier canst not be.